It's just, oh, okay, no countdown. We are just live. We're just live, no countdown, just boom, jump straight into it. Okay, I am excited. I am truly excited. Hello, everybody in social media land. It is
Hi.
another exciting episode of the Legacy Lounge podcast. Today, Tasha. Oh my goodness, Tasha, the stuff that we've already been talking about before we went live. I'm not going to spoil it for the viewers, but today's episode is about finding purpose through pain.
Mm.
And oh my goodness, the story and the insights that you have, talking about being a stay-at-home mom, going from broke to over six figures, to like not having to choose between work, business, and family, found a way to put it all together, retiring your husband before his 45th birthday. It's just a concept of total freedom. But with that total freedom, obviously there was struggle, there was pain. So I'm just going to step back. Is there anything that you want to say to the audience and to introduce yourself, to let them know more about who you are and your journey?
Yeah. Well, Tina, thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. It's truly a privilege and an honor to just be a part of what you're building and the legacy and the information, the conversations that are really impacting and transforming lives. I think there's nothing greater than using what you've been through or conversations you've had to really give hope and freedom to other people who are struggling and give them kind of that olive branch to say, hey, you can relate to this person. I can see myself in this person. If they can do it, maybe I can do it too. There's just so much joy in all of that. And so I'm a true believer that God doesn't waste pain. We can't control the pain that comes into our life. We can't control the circumstances that happen around us. Or things that are outside of our control, right? Other people project on us. Other people may mistreat us. Other people can do things in our lives, and we can't control that, but what we can control is what we do with it from there on out. And so for me, I'm going to be 43 years old in March. And if you ever seen Jerry Springer, I kind of grew up on that show. My life could probably be every episode. Okay, it's like Jerry, Jerry. If it happened on Jerry, it probably happened in my family. And so I didn't just grow up in this loving home. It was very dysfunctional. It was very we had four different kids by four different dads, right? I never knew my dad. He left when I was 2. He was an abuser. I was raised by my grandparents who are at 50 years old, inherited a 5-year-old, child that was like, what do we do with this kid? Didn't understand why my mom didn't want me, but wanted my sister. There was just so many things going on at such a young age for me. And, I went through a lot of abandonment with my mom throughout my whole life. She chose men and drugs over me and our siblings several times. She found the Lord. It was good for a while. And then, her addictions got the best of her. She passed away in 2020. She did the best she could. I realized that. But, there was a lot of pain in those conversations. And I remember one of the final straws is when I had my now 7-year-old. I was literally being rushed for an emergency C-section, and she walked away to go get married, right? Like literally, I'm being wheeled into the room and she leaves to go get married. And I just thought, that's it. I'm done with you, right? Like you can't hurt me anymore. I'm an adult. I'm a mom. And a year later, I was doing this thing called the Daniel fast, which don't do that unless you're ready for God to rock your world. And he was like, you need to talk to your mama. And I was like, boy, you have no idea. Right. I had this whole wrestling match with God. I was like, the pain that she put me through. I'm done with this situation. He's like, you need to talk to your mom. And I'm like, boy, okay. I mean, God always wins. Okay. If you're surrendered to him, he always wins. I called my sister and I was like, listen, I really feel like you're not going to understand, but God's really telling me I need to talk to my mom. And she said, Tasha, I was going to call you. I just got off the phone with mom. She's having life threatening back surgery. And I didn't think that you would not want to know or have your last conversation be what it was. This has been a year, right?
Yeah.
So I called her, and what God did over the next 12 months, I would go through all the pain in my whole life to have that last year with my mom. There was so much purpose in that pain. And although it sucked going through that, I was able to speak life into my mom over the last 12 months, whether she was able to receive it all or not. I know that the last year of her life, she had someone loving on her. She had someone who she saw. I don't know how you could be who you are. I broke you, but she saw my forgiveness. right? She saw the love that came through me, and really Christ through me to her in that last year. And I just believe that there was so much goodness that came that was kind of unspoken and things I'll never understand, right? Um, but that's kind of the story of my life. I've been through a lot of painful experiences in my life, but as I look back, I can see the purpose in those things. Now, people have free will, so there are some jerks in your life. They're going to come and just mess you up just for fun. But if I can say, hey, okay, I couldn't control this situation, and I don't wish this upon anyone, but what can I do from it? And what I've seen God do in from my 20s and on, right? I've got to travel all over the world. I've got to share the love of Christ with people. I got to see people being healed, right? We got to just build homes and orphanage. We got to give and do things. And and it's just been an amazing experience. And going through all of that, I look back and go, wow, like I could have easily allowed all of the crap that I went through in my life to be the excuse of why my life still was kind of in the dumpster. But
Yeah.
instead, I was like, I know now what not to do, right? I learned from those experiences. You did drugs and alcohol. That's a no for me. That didn't work out well for you. It's not going to work out well for me. Okay. Not that I've never had my days, but the purpose being that, like, I saw what other people were going through and I can learn from their pain so I don't continue on that tradition, right? I'm one of the first in my family's generation have two kids by the same father. Six generations, every kid has a different dad in our family, right? We're breaking generational curses that are just insane. My kids are the first two kids raised in a Christian home where Jesus' love and forgiveness comes through, and a whole lot of like, Lord forgive me, right, moments, but they're raised in a totally different home. I
Yeah.
remember I was putting my 7-year-old to bed a couple of months ago, and he asked if he could listen to this worship song before bed. And I'm sitting here holding his hand, and he's singing this song about the love of God, and he's going to sleep. And I remember being 7 years old, scared to death that someone was going to come in and be inappropriate with me. I
Mm.
remember being 7 years old going, if I don't eat this, am I going to get beat? I remember having these fears, and I thought, thank you, God, that I learned from the pain and that my kids never have to experience that. That he's holding my hand in peace. He's going to sleep in peace in this home, right? And it's just been such a beautiful experience to look back on. And, we made a lot of poor financial decisions over the last, several years of our life up until about 38. 38, 39, we weren't taught money. We didn't make good choices with money. We overspent. We were $100,000 in credit card debt in 2020, and people just kept saying, "Well, save here and then snowball it." I'm like, "You got to have money to snowball, okay? If you don't have money to snowball, a snowball fact doesn't work." And so I was just getting frustrated because all the information I was getting wasn't actually helpful. It wasn't actually moving the needle forward. And it was actually bringing us to the point of divorce. That's how intense it was. And then in March of 2020, this little thing called the pandemic came. And that was a whole separate topic of pain. But it really forced us to look at ourselves and go, okay, I'm a stay at home mom of two kids. And just in case people don't know out there, you don't get paid. It's an unpaid, glorified job. And then my husband was a breadwinner. And I'm thinking, okay, if you go to work and they shut you down, what are we going to do? If you get sick from this thing and you miss work, you don't get paid. What are we going to do? If you pass away from this, we didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm literally going to have to move in with family. I have no source of income. We are in so much, I was just panicking. I was like hyperventilating. And one of my friends, it's kind of going to sound like a blonde joke, but I promise it's not. But I'm 6 feet tall. One of my good friends in Nashville, Tennessee is 6 feet tall. And she walked into a coffee shop where she saw another 6'1" tall blonde. Now, when you're 6 feet tall and above, you're just automatically best friends. It's not many of us out there. And they got to connecting and talking. And she said, I really want to introduce you to my friend Tasha. So we got introduced. Again, she's in Nashville. I'm in California. No way of us ever meeting except to this divine intervention, this divine connection. And we're talking and stuff. And she's a financial professional. She teaches money. She teaches education. I was like, well, I don't know if I'd be a good candidate because I ain't got no money, but I'm here to learn. And she's like, well, good thing it's free. And I was like, then I'll be here all day. So I sat down with her. She took the time to properly educate me about money, what I could do in my current circumstance to actually move the needle forward, how we could be saving for our kids, how we can have some protection on our lives so that if the worst case scenario happens, or the ultimate worst case scenario, right? We're all going to die. Death and taxes is the only sure thing in this world, that we're going to be okay. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, you could also be a referral partner and make money. You just got to get your license. I was like, no, thank you. But then I sat around going, gosh, what's my purpose?
Mm,
I'm a
yeah.
full-time mom. I got a 2-year-old. He's driving me up the wall. I got an 8-year-old. He's driving me up the wall. They have more energy than I could do. I feel like all day long, all I'm doing is meeting their needs and cleaning the house. And I'm just existing. And I'm like, I don't have anything that's mine. I don't have anything that gets me up. I love my kids, but if you're a stay-at-home mom, okay, enough said. You got to have something else that's outside of you. And so I remember it all changed for us when I was talking to my friend. She's a single mom of 2 kids. And she's like, I don't have anything either. And I was like, you don't? I'm not the only one? Cool. Let me connect you with her. So I connected her. She helped her and everything. I got a text message. She's like, hey, thanks for connecting. I was able to help your friend and their kids. I want to send you a $50 gift card. And I was like, sweet. She's like, it would have been a $1,200 paycheck if you were licensed. No big deal. I was like, whoa, hold the phone. Back that up. It would have been a what? Right now, I just did a text message and I was like, so how do we get my license? And so in November of 2020, I actually got licensed in this business. And I had no idea what the next 4 years were going to look like, right? We went through some of the most amount of pain in my adult life. We went from almost divorced, my husband almost died, just complete tragedy going on in our lives. I lost my mom, I lost my mother-in-law. I moved out of my house with my kids and the separation with my husband. My husband fell 15 feet from a ladder at work. He almost severed his spinal cord. God totally saved his life, but it was a year-long recovery. He had to learn how to do everything again. It was just insane. It was in a crazy, crazy time of our lives. But God, that's all I can say. That's how we got through
So,
those last 4 years.
so one of the first things that you said that was very interesting, which you said is God doesn't waste pain. Like
Hmm.
unpack that, dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah. So for me, what I hold and what kind of gets me through all of these things is just knowing when I look back over the most painful circumstances I've gone through and I'm out of those circumstances, I can look back and go, wow, like that sucked. Like that sucked. And no one should go through that. It was out of my control. However, I see how that is impacting my now. I see how me going through this situation has been able to help someone else. I've been able to then sit here and go, this pain wasn't for nothing, right? I didn't go through, take for instance, the separation with my husband, right? I didn't go through all of this pain and make these decisions that were crazy, but I really believe that God said, listen, I need time to work on your husband, and I can't do that if you're here. I need you to be removed. Trust me. I had no idea what the outcome was going to be, but let me tell you, it was the most painful experience of having to pack up your 2 kids, move into a 2-bedroom apartment with your friend and her 2 kids, sleep on the floor. It was humbling, right? But when I look back through all that pain, I don't regret it because the marriage I have today is freaking incredible, right? What God did in his life in a short amount of time delivered him, freed him, transformed him, right? It would be worth it. God doesn't waste that pain. I look back and go, if I didn't go through that and make those hard decisions, I wouldn't have the life that I truly had been praying for years. I wouldn't have the marriage, right? So there is a lot of pain that I feel like people can go through and be really bitter about it, right?
Mhm.
And that's because they're blaming the person who caused the pain. That doesn't do anything for you. That just keeps you in bondage and keeps the pain alive inside of you like an open wound. In order to heal from that, to close that wound up and take back your power, you one got to release it, right? Which is like the hardest thing to do. You got to release it and go, how can I take this situation and get from where I'm at to over here? And then how can I help share that experience for other people? Like I've been able to share a testimony about what God has done in our marriage with several people who've reached out to me going, how did you guys get through it? And I would say the first thing is you both have to be surrendered. You both have to be willing to do the hard work, right? If one person's doing the hard work, one person's not, that's going to be really hard to get through. So having these conversations that are open, real, and honest, and
Mhm.
figuring out how do we get there. And when you look back, it's like, okay, I see it now. The pain sucks. It sucks going through it. But if you can find purpose in it, if you can find a way to take back your power in that and be able to transform it, that's where freedom comes from.
So you know, they say hindsight is 2020. But how do you find that while you're going through it? So one of the things that, like for my wife and I, one of the things that I always say is like, hey, you know, will there be hard times? Yes. And so when we approach a hard or a difficult time, we're just like, hey, this is one of the hard times that we talked about, but we can do hard things and we can get through it. And then I always say, like, we'll look back on this one day and just laugh. But for somebody who doesn't have that mindset, how do we begin to
Mhm.
cultivate, plant the seeds to give people, that encouragement to be like, hey, there is a purpose in this pain
Mhm.
that I'm going through right now.
Yeah. That's so good. And it's really circumstantial, right? Depends on what you're going through. One of the things like in marriage is like remembering that we're in this together. I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy. My mama always said fight naked. That's really hard to do. We haven't got to that point yet. But when you're in it, it's sometimes you just gotta take a timeout. Call timeout, have a word, pineapple, pineapple, whatever you gotta do to separate yourself in the moment because it's kind of like when you're freaking out crazy and someone just kind of and then you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Sometimes you have to do that mentally. But I think the biggest thing, no matter what circumstance you're facing, is getting around the right people. If
Mm.
you surround yourself with people who are also in the same mindset and mentality, and you're all in the sinking boat together, and everyone's just like, it's sinking, right? You need someone in there going, get a bucket, start scooping it out. You need to get around people who are in a different level space mentally than you so that they can speak life to you. So your friends matter, your circle matters, your community matters, the church, if you're a believer, getting in church and finding people that you can partner in prayer with. In our company, we've got a ton of people we can reach out to and say, hey, your mindset's here, I'm here, help me get there. Right. So seeking out that wisdom. For me, it's definitely spending time with the Lord through prayer, through devotion, just allowing the Holy Spirit to work in me. But I think you have to want it. And that's the hardest thing that no one can teach you. You have to find it within yourself to say, I want to get out of this.
Yeah, man, that's amazing because you it reminds me of something that just happened in my life. Somebody was just like, Tino, you know, you're not the same person that I once knew. And I was like, that's probably one of the biggest compliments I could receive. But then also when you're talking about the environment and you mentioned the company and everything, what I found talking to some people is that they were like, oh, I thought you were going to just talk to me about finances. And now I'm getting around people and the explosion, the mindset, the community. They're like, I feel like this is more of a safe haven for me rather than this was just going to be something that, okay, I got my money right.
Mm-hmm. Just so true. I mean, when the owners of your company have a YouTube called Unlock Your Mind, like everything starts in your mindset. That's where change starts. But if you're not surrounded by people who are challenging you in good ways, who are leading the life of where you want to go, who can push you further, who can pull you up, who can encourage you, then you're not going to go anywhere. I just did a live last night or a story about what you don't change, you choose.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to put yourself in an environment for change, you're going to continue to choose the environment you're in. And that's the hardest step. And that's the step that you have to take. You have to decide. I have a friend, she's going through a divorce right now. We met about a year ago, and she had already done a lot of work to decide that she was in a very toxic, not good relationship. But what she didn't have was anybody surrounding her going, you can do this. She had people going, just stay, it's fine. He
Hmm.
put your hands on you just once, it's no big deal. Like they were settling and causing her to settle and make her feel like she was crazy. Then she gets around me. We have a different conversation. right? She starts to feel empowered. She starts to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. This isn't acceptable. I can do the hard things. And fast forward a year later, she's moving out into her own place. She took her in home business and she got a beautiful business outside of the home now and a beautiful studio. Her life has completely blossomed. Now, that's not because of me, that's because of the hard work she chose to do behind the doors. And then that attracted the right people into her life. Now she's in this business. She's surrounded by everyone who's like Andre's like, I need someone like you in this industry. You can do this. I started with $500 in an office. You can start with $500 in an office. Like now she's dreaming and seeing a life that she never imagined for herself. But it's what you do behind closed doors first.
Man, the transformation is amazing. And speaking of transformations, talk a little bit more about that journey that you took, the financial journey that you took when you were like, hey, I went from broke to six figures, going to retire my husband, not having to choose between, because a lot of people, it's really a struggle where it's like, do I have to choose between work and my family? I'm stressed out because I'm doing this for my family, but I'm just working, 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 working. And then you're sacrificing the family for work, or you're sacrificing work for the family. But that journey of just being able to do it all.
Well, let's talk about one myth. There's no such thing as work life balance. Let's just shoot that right down. There's no such thing as balance. You've got the five F's in your life: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And they're all on spinning plates. And some plates need a little bit more spinning than others. Some are good on their own. But if you're not giving attention to all of these areas, then you're not really moving yourself forward and you're going to feel that stress. Now, am I saying I never have a stressful day? Boy, please, I'm building a multi-million dollar business. Okay. It is very stressful sometimes. And there's going to be seasons that are going to require more of you. The one thing that I always said is the grind doesn't align with me, right? I don't, there's a certain type of grind people have. They're like, just we'll figure it out. Missed your kids' events. No big deal. They'll forget. That used to be like the culture when I first started in this type of entrepreneur business. And I'm like, I'm not missing that. Are you kidding me? Like, that doesn't mean I don't want it. What you have to figure out is the pockets of your time. Because if you assign your day and you assign your time, then you can. So for me, between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., it's all about my family. It's about my faith. I get up, I have my devotions, I read my goals, my affirmations, I say my prayers, I get my worship on, I get myself right from 4 to 5. Then I get up, my husband from 5 to 6. We have that time together while he's getting ready for work. He leaves. I'll get a quick workout in, right? And then I get my kids up. And then from 6:45 to 7:45, it's all about my kids. And then from 8 to 8:30, I get ready and then I'm ready to go. So I grind, I work from about 8:30 to about 2:30 every day. Those are my working hours because my kids are in school, right? After school, we're basketball season right now. Both kids are in basketball. They got stuff after. There are the occasional meetings I take at night, a couple nights a week, but then their dad's home. So he gets that time with them. So it's all about looking at your day and structuring it and giving the time blocking and saying, this is what I'm going to be working on during this time. And what I have found is that at the end of the week, I'm like, man, I got better in every area. Or I'm watching things I prayed for the last couple of weeks come to fruition. They could be simple things, right? Not big, huge things. I'm watching my business expand and grow. I'm watching people want to partner with us as clients and say, hey, I need help with my money. Or, hey, I have a client who's selling 9 Rayleighs. Can you help him avoid some capital gains? Like, we got people coming for all sorts of things, right? And so I just feel like if you can figure out your day and you can control your time, you can control your grind, and then you can be a present mom, right? I do team calls on Monday nights, but that's the same time as my kids' basketball. I pass that on to my leader. I was like, you run with this for the next couple weeks so that I'm not sitting at my kids' basketball game on my phone. I'm present. I'm watching the game, watching the practice. I'm there, right? I'm 100% there, and my team is still being taken care of. So I think that if you can figure out what your life looks like and you design it the way you want it to look like, you really can balance it all in that kind of way. Now, there's going to be times right now we're in a massive expansion season, so it's requiring more, right? I can't sleep at night. I'm so excited. I'm up at like 3:30 in the morning. Maybe I'm staying up later. Maybe I got to work a little bit longer, take a few more meetings, but I talk with my family about it. Hey, listen, right now things are going to be a little crazy. Dishes might sit a little bit longer. I this takes our attention right now because if we want to get to, the quarter million, half million, $1 million a month situation that we're projecting to get to, it's going to take a little bit upfront work, right? And you got to be
So,
willing to go through
so,
those
so let me
seasons.
ask you this, because talking to a lot of people, especially outside of the industry and outside of our company, it seems like, oh, that's impossible.
Mm,
Like how can you just like take just a piece of your mindset and just plant it into the people who are watching to let them know, like, hey, it is possible
yeah,
because you're living proof that you did it.
facts. Yeah,
Especially the journey of going from broke to six figures. People like,
right. No, it you know what? It is a lot of tears. It's a lot of screaming. It's a lot of consistency. That is the number one thing. You stay consistent at something long enough, it's going to happen. And in the last 4 years, so I just celebrated the end of 4 years in November. This is the start of my fifth year in this business. I was a retired preschool teacher of 17 years. I was $100,000 in debt. I had no idea about money or what to do with it. And because we took the initial step and to get a game plan, we were able to pay off our debt. Hello, somebody, right? We were debt free as of February of last year, and we've learned how to do better things with money, make advances, right? We're saving in the right places, we're building future for our kids. But because I also did this business and I stayed coachable and I learned, I took the classes, the courses, I got licensed, I got fingerprinted, I do continuing education, I put myself in the environment to grow. I'm able to learn the knowledge, and then I'm able to tell the knowledge to other people so they have the same experience. And because of that, this has paid me over six figures in the last 4 years. And the crazy thing is, I don't know if you know much about bamboo, but it takes 5 years for bamboo to appear. 4 years it's underground, and then it sprouts overnight.
mm-hmm.
So we're in my fifth season. So for the last 4 years, I have been working, I have been learning, I have been painfully going through this journey of up leveling my mindset, thinking, oh my gosh, I can do this, right? It all starts with what comes out of your mouth. I was always like, I can't be successful. No one's going to listen to me about money. My family says, you're cute. That's cute what you're doing. That's cute, right? How do you battle all of that negativity internally and externally is through what you're putting into your mind and what you're speaking out of your mouth. So start there, right? Whatever negative things are coming out of your mouth, flip it, right? My friend Laura and her husband Scott always have this called flip system. So if I'm like, man, I hate my body or whatever it is, your finances, whatever you're speaking out that's negative, find a flip version of that. Man, I'm sexy as heck. Like, even if you don't feel it, right? You're still speaking it out. What you speak about, you bring about. So you keep saying it long enough. And I started to walk differently. I started to think differently. I started to make more money. I was like, oh my gosh. I remember my husband was in the hospital. We have no idea if he's going to walk again. It's 2 days post his accident. And I remember getting a text message, hey, congratulations, you made $20,000. My entire preschool income was 19,000 a year. I made my annual income in 1 week from something I did a few weeks before helping a client. And now I'm sitting in the scariest time of my life, making the most amount of money. I'm like, what? What is going on? And that's a big win. And then you build upon the wins. But consistency is the number one thing. I stayed consistent long enough to now be here and be open to the opportunities that we have at Universal Wealth. It's insane. There's nothing we can't do here. I don't care if you are a single mom with 20 bucks to your name or you're a multi-billionaire. I got someone looking at selling 50 million in crypto. Guess what? We're going to be able to save him 12 million in taxes. Hello, somebody. And we're going to create a $3 million tax-free income for the rest of his life and a $200 million legacy. Come on now. Come on now. I can't even tell you what the commission is going to be. And it doesn't come from him. It comes from the companies we work at. Just like they pay Peyton Manning, they pay us too. But this will probably get me as many zeros as him.
Oh, I like how smooth that was. Somebody have to rewind that to catch that one. That was smooth. I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's my biggest tip, and now we're here and we've positioned ourselves for our bamboo season. You're going to see things from us in the next 12 months that people say are crazy. But you know what Pastor Michael Todd always says? It's only crazy until it happens. But
Yeah,
if I didn't do the work and put myself in the position, I wouldn't be reaping what we're about to reap over the next 12 months.
absolutely. Absolutely. That is amazing. And then the other things that I'm excited about for you is again like retiring your husband before his
Yeah.
45th birthday. Who retires at 45? Who does that?
Right.
Where do they do that at?
Listen, you what you don't change, you choose. And someone once said, your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor, right? When you work a 9 to 5, there's a CEO and a VP and all them other letters, LMNOP at the top, and they're always going to be at the top. Now, can you advance in your company? Can you grow and get your 1% raise? Yeah, of course you can. And I'm not saying go quit your jobs. We need people in different industries to make the world go around. But that's the beautiful thing about this industry. I have people on my team, they all work 9 to 5s. Some of them work 12, 13-hour shifts, correctional officers, right? And then I got stay at home moms. And then I have, women who work at the gym. Like there's so many people on our team. The beautiful thing about this is they get to do both. They can refer people to us. I do all the work for them. And then I get to say, congratulations, you made $9,000 while you were at your 9 to 5. You made your entire month's salary while someone else did all the work. Right.
Mm,
And so now they're building an outside income. Eventually, her goal is that the income matches.
well, again, again, this makes 100% sense to me.
Mm.
But again, we might have to unpack that for some of the viewers. Somebody just made their whole month's income and did none of the work.
Yeah. So we're in the process right now. She has a friend and they have about $1 million in their current 401k. And there's this rule that when you're 59 and a half, um, you can call a company and say, hey, I'd like to access about half. Now, there are some companies that aren't structured that way, but his company is. So he's going to access half of that money. We're going to put it in a protected product that when he retires in 3 years, it will pay him his current annual salary every year just from what we do right now,
Just from half of his money.
just from half of what he has. Yeah. And then so protect first, invest the rest. He's got half of it protected, half of it invested. Right. But the difference with the protection is he'll never lose any of that initial investment nor the gains. Right. So he's set income for life on this product, which is incredible. But she works a 9 to 5. And so she's connecting him with one of the top people in our company who knows everything there is to know when it comes to retirement strategies and protecting money. He is going to run the call. He is going to do the application. My operations team is going to see it through. And her split of the commissions, because they both get paid, is going to be about $9,100. And then she's helping a friend out. She made a connection, and someone else is doing all the work. Tell me when's
So
the last time you went to your job and got paid for doing someone else's work?
only thing she did was, hey, meet my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she just made her monthly income pretty much in a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Crazy. It's super crazy. I have another friend. She works at a gym, and her friend, they were selling their business. So she connected them with our estate planning attorney and our tax person. They're doing all of the work. They're going to help her save, I think it's 1.2 million in taxes on this deal and create 180,000 plus income stream for life. And her commission for that connection will be almost $30,000. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like and it does cost you a license. Okay, so in California, you need a C. I mean a D. You need a 60. Okay, you need a D.
Well, you need
But
a 60 in
you
California?
only need a 60 in California.
What?
That's why they charge you so much. No, I'm just playing.
Oh,
Yeah, the
man.
standards are real low, but it's crazy. You need to pass a background check, get fingerprinted, and get a state license. Once you've done all that, we do all the work, and you get extra money. It could be maybe, you know what? We helped this guy last week. He works at my husband's job. He dropped a screw inside of an electric panel and it caused a huge fire blast. He burned his face, he burned his hand. It was crazy. He should have been dead. Like he literally should have been dead. But my husband's commercial refrigeration job does not offer life insurance to their employees. Now, because of what we set up, in 2020, when my husband was injured, we had access to our life insurance policy. And at the time, it's just a term policy, but we had access a living benefit because he couldn't perform some of the daily acts of living. We were going to get $5,000 a month tax free if we needed it. Now, we didn't need it. It was a workers' comp, plus I was making money. So thankfully, we didn't need it during that time. But this guy has nothing. He's got an 18-month baby. He's 27. His wife works as a preschool teacher, and no one took the time to educate him. So then he goes on. My husband's like, bro, like you need something. So he goes, and I won't mention the company, but he goes online to run a quote. They're like $200 a month for $500,000. What? 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 I was so mad. I ran him a quote for two different companies. It was $34 a month for $500,000 with living benefits. That company wasn't offering living benefits. So what took me 45 minutes of my time paid our family almost $300. Like, so it doesn't matter, right? My point is that it doesn't take very much time. You don't even have to be the one doing the work, and you can make massive impact financially. And, there's always this thing that people have about money, and they're afraid to make it. Right?
Yep,
They are
yep.
comfortable being uncomfortable. They're comfortable just living paycheck to paycheck. Even though they talk smack about it, they don't want to do anything about it. Right? And so when an opportunity comes, they're like, no, no. Okay, well, stay broke. Right? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you next. But there's other people who will take advantage of the opportunity. And the next thing you know, you are creating this income where now they don't have the stress. Do you know it's just $500 in a marriage that can make or break sometimes financial struggle and divorce? Just an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. Like that is so impactful that you can be able to offer that to people. So there's just so many things within our company and in our organization that we do to help people, but also help agents. Like I don't want to make the $1,000,000 a month just for me. Now I'm going to buy myself a house. I'm going to pay off my car. Like there's things that we're going to do. We're going to move, right? We're going to travel. But you know what? There are so many foundations and nonprofits we want to start to help kids who age out of foster care, to help addicts, right? Because these 30-day houses, they're not helping the addicts. They're doing the best they can, but you need a structure. You need a 2-year program. So how do we do that? We have a joyful giving project that's going to be something that we do all year long to be able to help the needs in our community. Like there are so many things, and that all takes money. So the money isn't just about what it's going to do for us. The money is about what God is going to do with it, right? We get to benefit, yes, but there are so many other things that we get to do with money. It makes the world go round. And so the quicker we can get over this, like, I'm okay being broke, I'm okay with just enough. Like, no, you're not. Please. If I told you can make $1,000,000 a month and it only took X, Y, and Z, and you're making 50,000 a year, you're going to tell me no, thank you? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, and yet that's exactly what happens. And I ask people like, who said it had to be that way?
Right.
Like why is it? But then again, it's the environment, it's the people who. So I have this 3-step system to a legacy: foundation, finances, and future. Foundation, obviously, the things that shaped you. You're talking about giving back and setting up foundations for people because of things that you've experienced in your own life. So you had those things that shaped you, and then you have the finances, which is in the middle. Obviously, finances are finances, but then you have the future, and it's going to be like, what is the impact? What is the legacy that you're going to leave in the future generations? It doesn't necessarily have to be your family, but your legacy could spread to people in the community. It can even spread to strangers. So it's very interesting because like people want to focus on the money, but then not focus on the money at the same time, where it's like, yeah, money is important and I'm doing everything so I can work and get $1. But then it's like, hey, here's an opportunity. It's like,
Money is just a tool. Andre
yeah,
Pennington. Money is just a tool, right? He's a multi-millionaire, the owner of our company. And this guy is just so giving of his time, of his knowledge, of his wisdom. His passion is insane, but money is just a tool. Like it's a tool to get from point A to point B, and it's a tool to be able to be used in the ways that we want to, right? Everyone's got different passions in their life, and a lot of those passions are birthed through pain. They went through this and they want to rewrite that.
Yeah. So because I know money is a tool, and I know that's something that we've heard all the time, but we got to unpack that to see what does that actually mean. Because if you talk to most people, money is a tool to do what? For most people, money is a tool to spend. It's like, oh, I got it and I'm spending it. And I'm like, oh no, money is a tool to build something, to do
Mm-hmm.
something else. But it's like, man, if I got $1 in my pocket, it's going to burn a hole in my pocket. I got to get rid of it. And I know even for me, that was a life-changing moment where it's like, okay, I got a bunch of money. Don't spend it. Put it away. What? Put it away? But I want it. No, put it away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, use it to build to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. You know, two things there. So I'm a mom. I have a 7 and a 13-year-old. And money does not go faster than between those two boys. So they look, you live here, so there's some chores you do because you're part of this family. Then there's some chores that I'll pay you $1 to do because they're helpful to me. Sort the laundry, clean out the car, things that are above and beyond, right? And so they get these like little jewels or whatever throughout the week for different things. I catch them being good, or I catch them doing an act of kindness, right? Like they'll just sporadically get it. And on Friday, they get to take it to the bank and cash out. These boys never make it to Friday. Okay. They look in their thing and be like, I got $3. Can we go get a prime after school at the AM PM? I'll give you my, they literally don't make it to Friday. And so now I'm thinking like, okay, what do I want to teach these kids?
Mm,
What do I want to instill in them about money? Because the reason why we were $100,000 in debt is because I had a 38-year-old who could spend money before he got it, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not guilty, but let's just say if we had Amazon stock, we make ourselves wealthy, okay? So we get paid, Amazon shows up, we have no money in the bank. Like, it's dangerous. So, but what is it? What's the root of that? It's self-control, denying temporary satisfaction for a long-term thing or success or something you want to do. The problem that we have is that we don't dream anymore. We don't
mm,
have a long-term vision. We don't have something that we're going to achieve. So for example, my son loves Nike shoes, okay? Nike likes everything at $200 mark. Okay, well, we're just not going to buy you new shoes because you're so rough on them every 3 weeks. Like that's not happening. So teaching them like you want these shoes, well then you got to save up for them, right? So teaching them, okay, you got 20% that goes in your savings, you got 10% that goes to tithing, and you get to keep the rest. Well, out of the 50% that you're keeping, maybe you should put away an extra 10% towards something you really want for a long-term goal. Now, is it going to take you a little bit longer to get to $200 when you're making $10 a week? Probably. But it's the development of the habit of it. I see this long-term goal. I'm going to use self-control and restraint. I'm going to put a portion of it to where I want to go, right? So you're not just living in constant gratification, because that leads to destruction in your life. And so I think really that's where the root of all of that is needing self-control and needing a long-term vision. So sitting with something, building something, okay, I know I want to start these profits. I know that these are, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to host this women's retreat. Okay, well, these are long-term things. I need to be putting money towards these things. Well, I need to go make money because a stay-at-home mom job is not going to pay me money to go do these things, right? And so I think that's really what it comes down to.
yeah. It reminds me of something that I read where it's like discipline actually equals freedom. You know,
Mm,
having that discipline will get you to your freeing your freedom place. Because I was thinking about like how you're saying saving up for the thing that you want. I remember saving up for something, and then when I finally had enough money to get it, I was like, I don't even really want it. Like,
facts.
I don't really want it. But now I built up the habit and the discipline, and now I can use that money to do something even better, which is
Mm,
amazing.
yeah, that's so good. It's kind of like the pain, right? Discipline is pain. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes the discipline. No one likes getting up early and working out. It's painful, it's exhausting, whatever. But where's the purpose and the good and the reward is in after you've gone through that. So
Yeah.
if you can look at your life and go, what areas am I not disciplined in? Who can I get around that can help me get disciplined in these areas? If it's your fitness, right? I went to my friend. She was going to the gym. She had a broken foot. She's in a cast, wheeling herself around, and she's, at the gym 3, 4 days a week. And I'm like, okay, well, I have no excuse now. Let me get around her. Let me go
Mhm.
work out with you. Right. And this literally started to change my mindset. And now here I am, like imperfectly perfect, trying to get it in when I can, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. But I had to get around that. I had to get around someone who was doing what I want to do. So in order
Yeah.
to develop discipline, find out where you're not disciplined, find the people who are, who can then help you develop that habit.
Oh yeah. So I know I told you about the deck of cards that I have with questions and stuff on it.
Yeah,
So I just drew a card randomly, and
let's
ooh, this
go.
is a good one. So it says it has two questions on it. It says, "Who is the wisest person you've ever known?"
I mean, dang. Can we say Jesus? Like, like I know a lot of wise people um that in different areas of my life have gotten me to where I need to go. So there's a lot of wise people, but
Okay. So then the second question is, what have you learned from them?
come on, I should have picked
So
the
just
other box.
just pick
Just kidding.
like
Your
any.
example one was a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing with drawing cards at random. Like you never know.
Uh, what I learned is I learned to observe other people's lives, take the good and leave the rest. That's what I've learned. If you can watch people and you could say, hey, this is really going good in your life. You're really good and excelling in this area. Let me learn from that. Here are
Mhm.
some of the mistakes you made. Let me learn from that. Like, let me not repeat the mistakes. You already went before me, you made these mistakes. So let me not repeat them. Let me go this way. So I think if you can observe the right people and you can learn what's good and learn what's not good and then go and implement it, I think that's really like the highest, because knowledge is great, but applied knowledge is the best.
Yeah. Take the meat and spit out the bones.
That's
So
right.
to give you I did draw another card just now,
Okay.
just to give you easy. This one said, what was your favorite television show, movie, or musical artist growing up?
I'm going to date myself on this one. So for all my 80s babies, Punky Brewster. I don't
Never.
know. So, I mean, you're not a girl, so it's kind of unfair. But Punky Brewster was someone who didn't care about what other people thought about her. She lived her life. She dressed the way she wanted to dress. She liked the things she wanted to like. And it didn't matter what other people's opinions were of that. She did it because it was true to her. And I think that if you can learn that at the youngest age, be true to who you are, like what you like, stay in your lane, and block out the noise from other people who are trying to pull you down. There's this song called Daydream, and that's fairly recent, so not from kids, but it's called Daydream. And it's at what point in your life, we were kids in the backyard playing astronauts and rock stars. And at some point, someone came in and said, that's unrealistic. Go get a job, go do X, Y, and Z. And now you're waiting tables, trying to make your bills, trying to make your ends meet essentially. You only have one life. Go make it what you want it to be. You don't get another shot at this. This is all you get. So ignore the noise, find the people who are in the lane that you want to be in, and go live your God given purpose in this life, because other people are depending on you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because you don't even other people are depending on you to do that, and it may be somebody you haven't even met yet.
100%.
Yeah. I know a lot of times we like to think about just the people that we know, but especially so in this business, right? We like, especially starting out, people are like, oh, my friends and family won't listen. And I'm like, hey, maybe you're supposed to help somebody else's family. Like,
Mm,
your family
yeah.
will come around after you help somebody else's family.
And
So,
maybe they
yeah.
won't. They always heard this quote, If your friends and family who are closest to you were meant to get you to your wealth, they would have done it already.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, listen, Jason always says this, right? My job is not tied to the results. My job is to offer you some education, offer you some services, hear what your family's goals and needs are, help you get to where you want to go. It's your job if you want to do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, sucks. I'm sorry. Like, that was a great plan, right? But there's someone else then. Then I'm gonna go to the next person and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, where have you been? I needed you. And I'm like, let's go. Right. Like, so I think the one thing that kills this business, especially because it is an entrepreneur business, it's not your typical 9 to 5. But I think the number one thing that will take someone out of this business is they get too tied to the results.
Yeah.
Your job is just to go out there and educate. Your job is to go out there and do this. And the people that it's meant for, you'll help. And so I win every day. I win because I help those who want to be helped. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be helped, then you don't want to be helped. It's not me, it's you. And that's fine. You do you. But I'm going to go out because there's somebody else. There's another stay at home mom listening to this going, man, all I do is wipe butts all day. All I do is just barely survive. I don't even get out of my yoga pants. I don't even do yoga, right? Like they're just sitting there, just wanting something, wanting community, wanting relationship, wanting connection, wanting purpose, and just wondering, like, what is it going to be? And the number one thing is like, I don't like sales or I'm not. Okay, first of all, we don't sell, we educate. Let's just start right there. I can't sell you something I don't know if you need it or not. And so I have to educate you first. Then I got to get to know you and what you're looking for. Then we can offer some solutions. That's how this works. I don't own any products. I don't sell anything. I don't have Mary Kay all up in my wall. No offense to anybody in Mary Kay. I don't have to sell you anything. I educate you. I guide you. I help you. That's it. Okay. The second thing is I don't know anything about money. Okay. Well, let's rewind this to the beginning because I was not good with my money. When I started, couldn't rub two quarters together, right? And now, like the path that we're on is ridiculous. I always said the path to financial freedom for me is going to be when I can give to whoever, whenever, for whatever I want without ever having to check my bank account. You need a new car? Boom, done. You need an oil change? Boom, done. I don't got to ask my husband, hey, do we have money for it? Right? Let me just scan and pray, swipe and pray, right? I don't have to do any of that because I know, you feel me? Okay. There's a lot of people out there be just swiping and praying every day. But that's true freedom to me, right? You're like, the homeless people aren't just homeless anymore. They may actually have jobs these days, but in California, they still got to go out and hustle because their job doesn't make their ends meet. Could you imagine just handing $100, not tied to the outcome? If they go and spend it on reckless stuff, I'm not tied to that. But I know what it costs me to get to the place to be able to hand them $100 and not care about the results. Go be blessed. You know, Tina, there was a time when my older son was 6 months old. And I kid you not, we looked in our fridge and we had some condiments. We didn't even have milk. We had mustard and ketchup and pickles. Everyone's got mustard and ketchup and pickles. You better check your dates, okay? And I stood in front of my fridge and I was like, I don't know what you're going to do, but God, you better fill this fridge. I had my last dollars. I took my baby. We went to go pay our PG&E bill, standing in line forever. Okay, this is before online stuff. And the guy behind me is striking up this conversation. At the end of the conversation, he says, you know what? This might seem weird, but I feel like God wants me to give you this. And he reaches in his pocket and he hands me some cash. And I'm all sorts of uncomfortable. I was like, no, no, no. He's like, please, I don't know how much it is, but it's all yours. Okay. Super uncomfortable. Pay my bill, leave, get in the car. It was $175 in cash.
Wow.
What did I pray that morning? God, fill my fridge. He used some stranger when I was spending my last dollars to meet a need. He didn't know, right? So I go to the store, I buy some food, I see a homeless man, I want to give him some, I want to pay it forward. And that's really what it is all about. That is financial freedom, to be able to be the person, the lender, not the borrower, right? To be able to give to other people. That to me is ultimate financial freedom. But you got to be able to do the things that are uncommon to do that. Learn a new skill. If I can learn this and do this, okay, I have a math tutor for my kid because numbers aren't my thing. But that's the beauty of it. Like, you don't even have to know it. We talked about referring people. If you can connect people with people, That's all you got to do. And you can make a 6-figure income, a 5-figure income, an extra $500 a month. Like, are you serious?
That can be
Crazy.
life changing,
Mm-hmm.
especially since 40% of Americans don't have $400. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
So what because you are a financial professional, what is a financial tip that you want to leave the viewers with?
So many. Um, I would say the biggest thing is to be open minded. That's one of the biggest things I see kill people's financial portfolio is they're not willing to look beyond just the traditional options that we're told about. Right? The concepts that we teach, the education we teach was developed in 1913. The 401k came out in 1970s. So these aren't just made up concepts. They're not just made up education and rules and tax codes. These tax codes have been around for a very long time. The companies that we partner with have been around for 100, 150 years. These aren't just pop up companies. The reason why we don't know about the strategies we teach on is because Uncle Sam doesn't get a cut. You cut off his paycheck. Banks aren't going to tell you about it because then you cut off their ability to go do what they're doing. The banks are doing with your money what we teach you that you can do. Why would the bank want you to know about their secret? They don't. But you know what's crazy? I met with someone and she's like, my uncle works for JP Morgan and he said these strategies aren't good. Did you know that JP Morgan invests $20 billion a year in this same strategy I'm telling you about? Oh, he didn't know. He works for JP Morgan. Chase Bank did not know that his bank puts $20 billion a year in the strategy I'm telling you can go put your $2,000 a year in. Duh. Like, what? Like,
And
it's
if it's good for them,
insane.
why is it not good for you?
Exactly. But that's why they're not telling it. They're telling you the things that profit them. What profits Uncle Sam, what profits the banks. That's what they're telling you. And not only that, but we're licensed differently. So your financial advisor, 9 times out of 10, can't do for you what we can do for you because we're licensed differently. So I would say to be open and have an honest conversation. Why are there so many people in their 60s and 70s still working if the traditional retirement strategies work?
Yeah,
You think
yeah,
they want to work at Walmart? No.
yeah.
I did meet one. She's like, I was bored. I was like, and this is what you thought of? Like, okay.
Okay.
But if traditional retirement strategies work, then why aren't people staying retired? I met a couple, they're 67 and 71 years old, and they've lost so much money over the years. He works 2 part-time jobs. They have Airbnb in their bedroom, and she's at daycare. That's how they want to be spending retirement? No. But the system failed them.
Yeah, people think that some people are even afraid because they're like, oh, well, if I retire, I'm going to have to go back to work. And I'm like, who said it had to be that way? Just because all of your coworkers went back to work doesn't mean that you have to, because you have us.
Exactly. And starting younger, the better. I think that's another misconception. Yes, younger, the better is great. 15 days
Mhm.
old. Okay, my kids are going to be tax-free millionaires by the time they're 40, multimillionaires, really. So they're welcome. But the thing about it is, we specialize in 60 and over.
Yeah.
That's really where we shine, is being able to help you protect what you have so that you never have to lose a dollar and that you have the resources you need. That's where we shine. So he was like, I didn't know. I thought I was too old. No. Are you kidding me? There's so many options for you. He was
Mhm.
very excited. We were able to help him and it was an awesome experience. But I think you just got to be open to learning just because you haven't learned it. Right? Like, oh, it sounds too good to be true. Like, is it too good to be true or you just haven't heard of it yet?
That's it. That's it. So, my last question for you, Tasha, is what does legacy mean to you?
Mm. I never really thought about legacy till we started getting in this business. And we didn't come from a wealthy family, but because of the environment we're in, the knowledge we have, not only is a wealthy family going to come from us, but it's being able to get my kids in the same environment, their mindset, and being able to pass this down and really shift our family's last name, right? That we're able to pass down concepts, information, skill sets, and tools so that they can live their God-given purpose. They can instill that in their kids, and really just legacy after legacy after legacy. We are seeing less and less of trauma and more of purpose lived out in their lives.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's amazing and beautiful. Well, hey, you know what I say, Tasha? Thank you. Where can the people find and reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm on all social medias. I'm just plain and simple Tasha Holtzinger. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can email me, tashaholtzinger@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, so everybody who's watching this, please reach out to Tasha. She's a wonderful person and a wealth of knowledge. Just truly wants to help bless you. And again, have you experienced some of that freedom that she's able to experience? And, again, the purpose through the pain, because sometimes I know a lot of people are going through the pain. Let Tasha help you get to that purpose to
Amen.
make sense of all the pain, because at the end of the day, your legacy is on the line. Anything else you want to leave with them, Tasha?
You know what? Just what you don't change, you choose. So evaluate your life, look at the things you don't like, and go out and change them.
Hey, that's it. And with that, that's another episode. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye,
Thank
bye bye,
you.
bye bye, bye bye, bye.
Thank you.
Oh,